Prevent burnout. Support balanced workload management. What works well as bueno? Balanced workload management is essential for effective leadership. Teams can only perform at their best when their workloads are manageable and their human capacity is respected. As leaders, we have a responsibility to monitor workloads actively, redistribute tasks, and recognize that humans have limits. This isn't just about getting the job done, it's about protecting our people. When we balance workloads, we don't just avoid burnout, we foster trust, loyalty, and resilience. AI has stepped in as a powerful tool to help us in this process. By utilizing AI-driven tools, leaders can gain real-time insights into workload distribution. AI can flag when team members are overloaded or nearing their limits, enabling us to make proactive adjustments and keep things running smoothly. But let's not forget, there's more to leadership than what the numbers show. There are skill sets that AI can't quantify. AI can analyze data and spot patterns, but it doesn't feel the undercurrents of a team's morale. It can't detect that silent resignation in someone's eyes, the shift in energy during a meeting, or the emotional toll that personal struggles might be having on someone's work. AI won't notice the passion that one person brings to a project, or the quiet resilience of another who never complains, even when they're stretched too thin. These are human dynamics that live beneath the surface, the unquantifiable strengths that make or break a team. AI can help optimize our decisions, but we as leaders need to stay tuned to the heart of the team. It's the unseen skill sets, the empathy, intuition, and emotional intelligence that AI can't replicate. These are the very things that help us understand when to step in, when to push forward, and when to pull back. Without recognizing the limits of AI, we risk missing the deeper insights that make us human. And when we get it right, by combining the precision of AI with the unmeasurable power of human connection, we create teams that don't just perform well, they thrive. So, yes, AI is an asset. It helps with the heavy lifting of managing workloads and optimizing efficiency. But no algorithm will replace the intuition of a leader who truly knows their team. It's the balance of data-driven decisions with the nuances of human leadership that creates lasting, sustainable performance. Real-world experience. I've been in environments where top performers, myself included, were pushed to the brink. It wasn't just about doing the job. It was about constantly proving our worth. And if you're a woman or a person of color, the expectations were not just higher, they were relentless. It felt like we had to work twice as hard to get half the recognition. And let's be real, this isn't just anecdotal. The prove it again bias disproportionately impacts women in professional settings, especially women of color. Researcher Joan C. Williams has extensively documented this bias, highlighting its prevalence and effects. Studies show that a significantly higher percentage of women executives face this bias compared to white men. In one study, 36% of white women reported encountering prove it again bias, while only 17% of white men reported similar experiences. The impact is even more pronounced for Black women, with 3/4 reporting incidents of needing to prove their competence repeatedly. The toll is real. That constant pressure to outperform doesn't just weigh on you mentally, it drains you physically. Anxiety, burnout, and stress aren't just side effects. They sadly become a way of life. I've seen brilliant women and people of color break under the pressure of expectations no one should be forced to carry. And while we're being pushed beyond our limits, others who aren't held to those same standards become disengaged. The result? A toxic culture where burnout spreads like wildfire and team cohesion gets fractured. I knew I had to make a change, not just for myself, but for my team. I introduced a criteria-based approach to prioritize what really matters, because working harder doesn't mean working smarter. I made it clear to leadership. Pushing people harder doesn't get better results. It just leads to more burnout. We took back control of our work without sacrificing our sanity. It was a statement, we're not robots, and breaking us doesn't get you the best work. But let's be real, it wasn't always easy. There were times when I could drive real change, but other times I felt stuck, just following orders in a system that didn't value balance. But I kept pushing, kept reminding leadership that burning people out wouldn't get them where they wanted to go. And when burnout takes hold, it's not just the individuals who suffer, it's the whole organization. Burnout doesn't happen by accident. It's baked into systems that value output over people. But when we flip the script and prioritize mental wellness, we don't just survive, we thrive. And that's the kind of leadership that builds teams that can last. The most challenging experiences arose when leadership ignored our limits, consistently adding tasks as if we were machines rather than individuals. As deadlines approached, we were simply told to push through without assessing our capacity. Overwhelm became the norm, and the energy we once had diminished. I recognized the need to regain control, not just over our work, but over our well-being. By establishing feedback loops and communicating our capacity, I aim to protect my team from being overwhelmed while still meeting expectations. What does not work so well? No bueno. Overloading teams with work and treating them like machines represents a leadership failure. I have witnessed firsthand how pushing individuals beyond their capacity leads to burnout, disengagement, and turnover. Teams overwhelmed by excessive demands cannot perform at their best, and neglecting their well-being diminishes their commitment to the organization. A proactive, intentional approach to managing workloads is essential for keeping teams engaged and capable of delivering high-quality work. Ignoring limits and failing to communicate clear priorities creates an environment of chaos. When leaders add tasks without regard for what employees can handle, they create a cycle of stress and frustration. The ongoing struggles many of us face in navigating hierarchical resistance and micromanagement often leave us feeling depleted and disempowered. A colleague once expressed their frustration with decision makers who seem more focused on maintaining their status than on removing barriers for others. This creates a cycle where those in higher positions appear disengaged from the challenges faced by their teams. When frustrations arise, it may feel like others complicate matters unnecessarily. Instead of reflecting on their contributions to the issues at hand, some leaders may default to blaming others for complications, often stemming from their own decisions. A simple shift in perspective, such as asking for clarity on tasks, can transform the conversation from blame to constructive problem solving, which is beneficial for everyone involved. As I contemplated this message, it became clear how environments characterized by micromanagement and resistance generate frustration and fatigue. Leaders like me often carry the burden of these systemic issues, and many find themselves taking PTO just to recover from the relentless pressure. This cycle of self-preservation highlights the presence of unhealthy workplace cultures. Interestingly, another colleague shared insights about leaders who seem out of touch with current realities, often relying on outdated work styles. This lack of adaptability not only affects the organization, but also impacts the people working within it. The core issue isn't necessarily about demographics. It's about the entitlement to maintain control without accountability, wielding power without regard for the well-being of team members. This brings me to the need to practice modeling well-being by encouraging mental health recovery time. When toxic leadership or micromanagement contributes to burnout, organizations must not only recognize the issue, but actively support recovery. Employees should feel empowered to take time off without fear or guilt, understanding that their mental health is equally as important as their productivity. While encouraging time off for recovery is vital, it is equally important to address why exhaustion is so prevalent in the first place. Reflecting on these patterns, I've noted that these challenges are not isolated. They exist across various departments and organizations. Until leadership prioritizes well-being, creates safe spaces for open dialogue, and holds themselves accountable, we may find ourselves caught in an exhausting cycle, still striving for meaningful change. When reflecting on the constant push and pull between work and well-being, Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie resonates. The song captures the feeling of being pushed to the brink, where something has to give. It serves as a reminder that when we pause, assess, and reset, we can relieve that pressure before it overwhelms us. Leadership, like life, is about finding that balance between drive and rest, ambition and well-being. This concludes Chapter 29. Please proceed to Chapter 30. Empathy and compassion, leading through personal and professional challenges.